Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is Dr. Rao coming in. I'm continuing the practice that we have been doing for the last 4 or 5 days on what is practical spirituality and how do we understand it and how do we apply it and how can we cultivate resilience because of the practical spirituality. For me, practical spirituality is about knowledge of human beings and the world and how we interact and what we can bring in the wisdom the humanity has learned over the years, right? That's what exactly the practical spirituality for me mean, right? When you really focus on that, then we can always study ourselves, see how our minds react to events of the life, and how we can adjust to it, and bring in that resilience that we have in tough times to be able to handle the situation better. Okay, so one of the things that happens to people is, for example, you have a financial um, hardship, for example. I've seen so many people during the COVID and even our family when I went through some medical illness and all that, that was there. But then focusing on the present, focusing on what we can do about it is more important than uh, indulging in cyclical thinking. So, if you go to the ancient spiritual practices, the practice is about bringing you back to present, bringing you to that frame of mind where you can focus on what you can do rather than worrying about something, right? That kind of takes away a lot of your energy. So you want to really uh, open up your mind, study the situation, and let your intelligence work. This was something J. Krishnamurti talked about. He talked about our bank balances, our accumulated wealth, or our reputation, any number of things that we could lose. But if you don't lose your inner self and then you act with intelligence presented to you in that moment, and you will read the situation better and then you will prepare for the future better. So it's a very important thing because most of the people are conditioned to respond a certain way: desperation, fear, anxiety, worry, and all that. But like a disaster happens, floods I see in America quite often, right? Earthquakes or these recent forest fires, any number of events to come. And I see this wonderful spirit in people sometimes. Oh, we are glad we are alive and we will rebuild everything. They lost everything, but then they say we will rebuild everything. And many of the times the insurance people don't even pay for what their damage has caused. But they will say, okay, I will put up with this. I will rebuild again. I will dig out and come up with real resilience inside. There was a book written a while ago, and this book was about women in Asia, Africa, South America, so many areas where they have extreme suffering. And in the face of that, these women brought out a lot of strength from within, and then they were able to handle situations of the life much better. So I always quote that when I talk to women on empowering themselves, and that should be a very good inspiration, real life stories of these women who have extraordinary courage and resilience inside. So those kind of things can be handled, and then you can develop resilience by understanding how we react to things, what kind of things we value, Are they really permanent or not? All these things come into play. Suppose you know how to really handle your mind such a way, you will be focused on what you need to do and save all that time and energy and involve in what needs to be done at that moment. So if the house is on fire, you don't stop and think about it. You go run and get some water and put it on that. You try to somehow extinguish the fire, right? So like that, we may not feel so many things that are coming at us of that importance, but then we can create that urgency by really treating it like here and now. This is happening. How can I really pull myself up and apply myself to completely to that? Okay, that kind of thing is very very important to do. Then that situation may teach you something about yourself. That situation may point to you what is happening within you at that time, and where did that energy, where did that courage, where did that real toughness. Okay, um, so here I'm going to talk about something very important. Ramana pointed this out. It is the thoughts that make us weak, but not the real self or real nature of ours. So he always taught about staying in that real nature, finding out and then staying in the nature. That real nature has thoughts, but then those thoughts are controlled. But when you are immersed in completely in thought, especially the cyclical thought, it goes on bothering you. It goes on giving you worry, anxiety, and all that. So that's why stay in your real nature. Then thoughts will be knowing their place. They will come when you need them, when you want them, but not by themselves. This is the problem with the modern thing. First of all, they are wired to react very quickly and then don't know how to get out of the loop of those thoughts. And they what they have, they will not be able to use. So it's a kind of big problem, right? So understand your mind, understand your thought, understand how to keep it in its place is by um, so many practices that make you feel like controlling the thought, putting the thoughts. Modern people call it mindfulness, but I would call it awareness. If you are in awareness and using the thought, which is the right way to go about it, then you will be aware of what you want to do next, and then you will be aware in that moment too. So, this is a very key for the cultivating resilience inside your own thoughts, your own uncontrolled thoughts, your own uninhibited thoughts, your own fears and doubts that were associated with those thoughts. That is the one which saps away our resilience. But if you understand these thoughts come and go, then you will stay in your true nature and use the thought in a conscious way to effect change into the situation. So, for example, that person who has financial hardship, instead of getting worried by that hardship, it's easy to say, but it is the right thing to do. And then employ his intelligence and face on the next step, next step, next step. Then he will be uh, more successful than he's entrenched in, depression or anxiety and fear. That will sap your energy. So I teach people the yoga itself. What you can do is you can attempt an asana. There is a base, there is a middle thing, there's an advanced posture, and you start with the what you can do, maybe the base, and then challenge yourself to go to the next stage and be comfortable. And once your body does that advanced posture, it is more confident next time to attempt something bigger. So what you have done is you have reserved your own resilience. You have improved it by extending your challenge, but you have done it in a way that is very very good for you. and you feel good about it, and the resilience keeps on going. Hi, Nazli, how are you? So I kind of taught people about this resilience quite a lot because modern thought, modern exposure of the thought, people absorb that and they get stuck in that thought, right? So the reactivity grows on. There are small threats as you go to the work in any modern settings. There will be judgments, there will be insults, there will be racism, so many things go on. Then these people unconsciously observe those insults or challenges and immediately allow the system to secrete sympathetic overtone. So when you are having that sympathetic overtone, you are wound up and you are more stressed. And if you allow this to happen unconsciously for a long term, that's how burnout is happening. So instead, you want to preserve yourself and prepare yourself with the resilience before you start the work, and protect yourself by being aware of the small threats which are not really big deal, and not allowing yourself to be emotionally reactive for every small thing. And if you should react to that, come home and detoxify it or get rid of that. I kind of teach all of them. What do you do before work? What do you do during work? What do you do after going work and reflecting and unwinding and all that? This is important because modern times are taken away by things that are not really needed for us. Unnecessary entertainment, unnecessary, gossip. So many things that are eroding our inner resilience in a way. That's why I kind of insist on a comprehensive self-care, a good daily routine like I described. What do you do before work, during work, and after work? And also really studying into the four pillars of wellness, which is nutrition, exercise, sleep, and the mind calming down, right? There's so much literature in the modern medicine that is available to you to help yourself. Of course, nutrition is completely different from ancient time to now. They consider food as the medicine. I tend to go that way. So the more you are compatible with what you are eating, not for the taste, but for the nutrition and all that, that will be wonderful. And then having a functional exercise, that means you are doing exercise with your own body weight in terms of the spending a day, right? And the third thing is you got to improve the quality of the sleep and mind. As I said, don't be reactive, be responsive to things, and also be aware of how much you are reacting and get rid of the reaction as soon as possible. Suppose somebody had an argument with you and you are angry because they're so unreasonable and they're arguing something that doesn't make sense, right? Then you act naturally get angry, but don't allow that to go on because you are the one who is going to be affected by the anger. By not doing these things, your resilience will be much more improved. It's common sense, but you have to be on the lookout for this. Most of the people react and then they may control and they go, but then that memory doesn't go from the mind, it will be buried and it will come back later. So, what you do want to do is you want to be in the awareness mode where you see this is what is going on in your own mind. This is what we call studying the mind with our own mind. So as the life presents challenges, we react, right? But by studying, understanding how we react, the next time the reactions will go down. So that means you have a healthier hormonal milieu or atmosphere within you when you don't react negatively like that. So this resilience, not only your nutrition, exercise, sleep, and all that, but also understanding how we are emotionally. Are we emotionally intelligent or not? How we are intellectually. Are we really sharpening the intellect and then using it for what the process is supposed to be? Or are we making self assessment, self judgment, and then thereby feeling miserable and all that? All these things come into challenge when you have a distress situation. It could be physical, it could be mental, it could be psychological, it could be spiritual, it could be economical, political, so many ways, right? But whatever that comes, what is it that is reacting? Is that reaction coming from your real self? No, it's coming from your cultivated mind, which is cultivated thought. So we expose ourselves to the civilization, so many things come to us, then we react to them, and then we form a personality. And their personality thinks that is a normal thing for it to react. But what we are doing here is our true self is observing the personality and does not allow the personality to go beyond it. Then whatever you feel is for the mind problem, not your real self. So stay in your real self is the major teaching in the ancient wisdom. First of all, find out who you are. That means is the body and the mind and the personality that you created are you, or are you that true nature, true awareness, the self they call it, right? Are you that energy? And most of the people have a sense of this I. From the it doesn't change from childhood to adulthood and to the elder person. It doesn't change. What changes is your thought, that what you think about yourself, what you think your tastes are, your tendencies are, and all that. That is a very difficult thing for people to stop. That is the training I'm talking about. Once you have the control of that movement of thought, then you don't have to react adversely. Lots of times it could be instantaneous, automatic. So suppose somebody close to you dies and immediately you react, you can't help it, right? Suppose something threatening happens to you, like they are going to take away your home or they're going to do everything, that becomes a problem too. Okay, so it's actually home is made with people's relationship, not with the things that they have. Okay, so if you are in a one room also, you can be happy, or if you are a mansion, you can be happy. But you can be unhappy even in the mansion because people don't have any real relationship in the sense of they know each other, they understand, and they love and help each other. That should be the one they should be. So a family there and some crisis happens, they immediately bond together most of the time, and because they want to have support for each other. But if you have inner resilience, you will be the tower of support for everybody else in that group. And you will lead people to do the things that they will be happy to do, and they will be able to execute and rectify those situations. That's why inner resilience is important. Like I use that in the burnout situation where there is an overload of work and information is too much, EMR work is too much, and then they go on giving us more and more and more work, right? So people are really overloaded with the information, and because they were not able to rest, they were not able to eat, they were not able to do proper exercise. Most importantly, they were not able to self-reflect. They don't stop and sit down and think about these things. That is something I highly, highly recommend that people on a daily basis, if you reflect on this as a healthy habit, if you cannot do it, put a day aside like a weekend and then sit down and say, these 3 4 hours, I'm not going to do anything, but I'm going to be with myself inside. I'm going to review all that happened, mainly in terms of reactions. How did I react with that tough situation with that patient? How with that family? With that's how I do it. So then you will understand what kind of things are making what kind of reactions within you, anger, sadness, or happy, whatever. Review all of them and finish them. That's the most important thing. Don't carry the anger, the guilt, or the animosity. They're not worth it, right? Once you start to do that, your inner resilience will grow. So Why do you lose the resilience is because of these negative thoughts, negative situations, negative reactions. Once you understand how to review them, how to reflect on them, how to understand them, and dismiss them from you, basically you go over them. You say that's a very trivial thing. Why do you have to worry about that? Everything will be okay. That kind of attitude will be good. Some of the ancient tradition things that helped me was they talked about whatever happened, whatever happened is ultimately is for our own good. Okay, so once you have that, that will be very easy to handle. Okay, then things happen, people lose things like in the disasters, but the people who come out are the ones who have this resilience inside. My case is you can cultivate that on a daily basis by not succumbing to a lot of things, but bringing up. The longer you do it, the more resilient you are. That means the capacity to take the extreme suffering, extreme pain from outside or inside. Okay, that book I told you about, Half the Moon. That's the title of that book. This is about women in Africa, Asia, in South America, where these women are extraordinarily tenacious and courageous in extreme suffering. They had some of the horrible sufferings, but then they were able to get out of that without much resources and all that, just by their core inner resilience. So anybody can cultivate that if only you are aware of it, and then don't do that at the time of the hour, at the time of the crisis. Start doing that on a daily basis now. That is where practical spirituality helps you to understand your real self, and you will understand your body and mind, which are really the tools of the real self. So, getting to the real self is the big deal. That's where the most of the ancients concentrated, and they even stated the aim or the real thing about human life is about being self-reliant by really understanding who you are. So that's what he said. The purpose of human life is to turn inward and realize your true nature, which is not body and mind, but beyond that, which is the consciousness, or which is awareness, or the light, or the heart, or the spirit, or whatever you call it. Okay? We all know that spark that we have, the light we have, that kind of animates our body and mind. Okay, so be that first, and then life will be much easier to go through. And they live longer, they enjoy the life longer, and they have a lot of support for other people too. Then they'll be able to do well with friends and family and all that. So improve the resilience, focus on that mainly. That means you have to stay in your true nature and observe the thought and observe the mind in all situations. And if you do not allow this accumulation of thought happen, that will be a very resilient self, because you are not going to be reacting that quickly for small things or not important things. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say for today. It's a big deal to understand what is the true nature. It's a big deal to really be in this society and really focus on things like that. Many people don't reflect. Many people don't realize who they are, and even if they understand, many understand, but few realize. That's the important thing. You got to realize, and you got to stay there in real life. Then everything happens. Okay. So, any questions, anybody? All right, if I don't have any questions, I will stop there, because this is a big topic, realizing the true nature. It sounds very impossible, but it's not so. You just have to slow down and reflect on it and look inside, then you will find it. Okay. The silent, the superficial chattering mind is, the better you will find yourself. Okay. I'll see you again tomorrow after this talk. Okay.